What's going on, my dudes? Onestep here, and welcome back to Mortal Kombat. Today, we're going to be talking about the next Mortal Kombat movie and all the predictions and rumors that are already out for it. So, first things first, this is full of spoilers. So, if you have not seen the first movie, press pause right now, go watch the movie, then come on back. Because, again, I can't say this enough. There's spoilers. So, if you guys have seen the movie, great. Let's jump into it. So, with that out of the way, guys, subscribe for more fun gaming content. And let's just jump right into it, shall we? The first things first about the movie, the way it ended. That's what we're going to talk about first. The way it ended, what's next for Mortal Kombat? And I think the first question that people ask when they think about Mortal Kombat, the sequel, is who's the big bad guy? Because in this one, it technically was Shang Tsung, as we all know, but it really wasn't. I feel like the whole time it was SubZero, which I think we all felt like. As soon as SubZero walked in the room, we're like, oh, dude, it's about to go down. When Shang Tsung walked in the room, we're like, okay, he's here to do something with his, 5 henchmen that he's recruited or whatever. So, I think Shang Tsung will be the next big bad guy in the next movie. I mean, he only took one soul in the first one. In this movie, he took Kung Lao's, and that was all the action we saw with him, pulling the soul out or whatever. That's all the action we got from him, really. I mean, even then, the coolest thing he did was that neck turn when Kung Lao threw his hat. I can't show a lot of footage from the movie for I don't want to get demonetized or copyrighted super hard, but I will show a couple things here as we talk about it. But that was the coolest thing that Shang Tsung did. So I think that he'll be more badder. He'll be badder, better, bigger in the next movie. I think he'll be more of a threat. Now that kind of SubZero's out of the way. Now, with that being said, though, there's 4 movies. We all know that. So, well, it's rumored again that there are going to be 4 movies. So this was a kind of a pre-setup to the tournament. I think in the next one it's going to be Shang Tsung, and we have a couple of bad guys to choose from for the next 2 after that. I think the biggest one's probably going to be Shinnok and then Shao Kahn. Maybe Onaga if you really want to push it. But we've seen Shao Kahn. We've seen Easter eggs of him in the first one, with the picture and then the statue. So I think Shao Kahn is gonna pull Thanos move and be the big bad guy at the very end here. But again, maybe Onaga's a side bad guy in number 2 or number 3. I think Shinnok's gonna be a big bad guy for number 3 mainly because Shang Tsung's probably the next one. Now, there are more bad guys that can fall into place here, like Quan Chi, because we all know the story with SubZero and Scorpion, but we also know that Quan Chi was behind all that for the most part, and Quan Chi is also just a bad guy in general who's just, for lack of better words, douche. So Quan Chi, I think he's going to make an appearance either in the next movie or after that with Shinnok. Quan Chi he's a bad guy, and I would be very shocked if we don't see him at all, because he deserves some screen time for sure. This is going to seem a lot out of place, by the way, guys. I don't really have a list. I'm just going off the top of my head of things that we need to talk about from the movie that would basically make sense for the next one and what we can assume from the things we saw in the first one. With that, Goro died, SubZero died, Kung Lao died, a lot of guys died. And I don't think it's fair to have Goro for one scene, a huge character in Mortal Kombat, a huge big bad guy in Mortal Kombat, just be dead in one scene. I think we have a high chance of seeing them all later. Now, in which form? I don't know. I think Revenants are a big thing. I think they might bring those, because we saw Revenants in Mortal Kombat X. It was huge. You saw some dead characters come back as bad guys. It was weird seeing Kung Lao and Nightwolf as Revenants. But at the end of the movie, Shang Tsung, we saw grab the bodies of the dead and bring them down. So that could be the start of the process of turning them into Revenants. What if the same applies to Kung Lao? What if he comes back as a Revenant and then him and Liu Kang got to figure ish out, man? You never know. Same with Goro. But they bring Goro back. I hope they bring him back as Goro Revenant. I could see them trying to put Goro as Kintaro. Hey, Goro died. We remade him. Here's Kintaro. So it's that could happen. Not that I want it. I actually prefer the first route. Or just bring Goro back as a Revenant. And to kill the Revenants, you got to kill the maker of the Revenants, Shang Tsung or so on. Maybe that's the plot. Yeah, there's a lot of Revenants from the dead one. To kill them all, we got to kill the main guy who made them all, which is Shang Tsung. So it's that could be a plot. Now, also, because Goro's in it, we could also assume that Shiva is also here. We haven't seen Shiva, but we could assume that. They're both Shao Kahn, so I mean, we could assume Shiva's there. So maybe what's her role? Maybe we see her in the next movie. That's also an assumption we can make, is all these characters that are, you know, big that we didn't get to see this time around that we'll see in the next one. So Goro's alive. Well, not alive, but he was in the movie. He's dead. He was in the movie. So which means Shiva definitely exists. Which means Kintaro probably exists. Which means maybe Motaro probably exists as well. I mean, that's a lot of assumption, yes, but I think Shiva's is the safest assumption. And then we also saw a snippet of Kotal Khan. I'm like 98% sure that was Kotal Khan. If Kotal Khan exists, his race exists. And then does that also mean the MKX story is coming? So like Jade, I mean, obviously Jade's gonna be a thing. Same with Katana. I mean, we saw her fans as an Easter egg in the first one, so she's gonna be there. Melina is a huge character. She can't be dead. I could definitely see her becoming a Revenant as well. But Kotal Khan, knowing his existence in this cinematic universe, could deploy so much explanation and questions and backstory for this whole next 3 movies coming on up. And then with the dead being dead, come back as Revenants, but also SubZero, we all know is going to be Noob Saibot. That's 1000% going to happen. SubZero, Bihan's going to come back. He's dead. He's going to come back as Noob Saibot, and then his twin brother, Kuai Lang, 2 SubZeros, and become the new SubZero, and then that's where the revenge to kill Scorpion's going to come in. We all know that's going to happen, and I'm pretty sure we can almost guarantee that because of that, we're gonna see Noob Saibot, a huge fan favorite. So I can almost guarantee we're gonna see Noob Saibot. Another thing we could assume is Reptile was in the movie, but he wasn't called the Reptile. He basically just said, get the Reptilian Warrior, basically. And it wasn't, so the thing we saw, was that Reptile? Or was that just like Reptile species? I kind of am okay with both. Reptile's not a huge character that I really enjoy. He's dope. But if he was in a scene and then dies to Kano, darn it. But if that wasn't Reptile, I would kind of like to see an actual full green ninja in the next movie as Reptile. Even if he's got like a reptilian face and such, like we've seen in previous Mortal Kombat games, we wouldn't be too mad. That's Reptile for us. Speaking of green ninjas, that could also help introduce Ermac. And what I mean is the whole Shang Tsung Quan Chi like combo. Making Ermac, bring Ermac to the big screen. That would be huge. I think Ermac is another really big fan favorite. So, because we want Quan Chi, and I'm pretty sure Quan Chi is going to be, he's just too big of a bad guy to not put in a Mortal Kombat cinematic universe. So, with Quan Chi coming on in, I think we can assume that would also make Ermac. And Ermac's just a badass in general. I would love to see Ermac on screen and the fatalities he would do. It'd be so cool. Also, they introduced Arcana in the first movie, which basically just explained everyone's powers and abilities. So like Jax's Arcana was the arms, Sonya Blade's Arcana was like the power blast. Now they didn't need that for Sonya. They could have made her just put on like, you know, fist gauntlets and shot stuff, I guess. But anyways, because they have Arcana in this universe now, that kind of answers all the questions of like, how do people have their powers? So like Johnny Cage, which we're gonna see in the next movie, obviously with the way it ended, that explains Johnny Cage's powers, the green stuff that he can put out, his green energy. That explains, Kotal Khan turning into a jaguar, which by the way, off the bat, that's the best Arcana. You can just turn into a savage jaguar. That's dope. That would explain it. That would explain Kotal Khan's like turning into a jaguar. That would explain Nightwolf's also green ability, kind of like Johnny Cage's. So Nightwolf's abilities, and then also Nightwolf's tribe. Maybe his like culture can explain a couple of abilities too, with like the lightning and stuff. But also maybe, I don't know. There's the Arcana explains a lot. Also, this is kind of far fetched here, but because SubZero died and the Arcana exists, those two can correlate to the Lin Kuei, which then we can assume Sector and Cyrax exist. And we all know they start as humans and then they go cyborg. So maybe the Arcana is their abilities, where we see Sector and Cyrax. And then when they go cyborg, they kind of keep their Arcana abilities in their cyborg form. That would be cool, and it would help explain it. Like, hey, how? I mean, I know you're a robot, but also when you were human, you were shooting fire and you were, you're shooting this green stuff out of your hands, like they do. So that would be kind of cool, and that would also mean the Cyborg Initiative exists, and they could go on like that side story. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of assumptions that we can make about this movie and a lot of things that we've seen. The first one that we can kind of like, okay, if that's going to be a thing, then the next one's got to have this thing. So, but I think at the end of the day, the major things we can either guarantee or be pretty damn sure are going to happen. Shang Tsung's the big bad guy for the next movie, obviously. With that being said, we can assume Shinnok, Shao Kahn, maybe Onaga for the next, 3 or 4. But Shang Tsung for sure. Noob Saibot's going to be a thing because SubZero died, which means we're going to get another SubZero, his twin brother. That's where the revenge comes in. But again, that's why I feel like you have to have Quan Chi. And if you have Quan Chi, you have Ermac as well. So that's where I think the next one's going to go to, because the tournament's going to start next movie with Johnny Cage and his Arcana fighting in the tournament. I think he's probably going to win the tournament maybe and stop it all. But that also means that Goro's got to be back. But so again, a lot of assumptions, but I think the main direction they're going to go in is the tournament with Shang Tsung and Quan Chi. Noob Saibot's a thing. The revenge between Scorpion and SubZero is going to be a thing. They're going to win the tournament. And then Shinnok's going to be, maybe Shinnok's pissed. And he's like, yo, I got to stop this now because you guys won the tournament. And now we have Shinnok. And then at the very end, Shao Kahn's like, I'll finish all this. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot to go off of. Guys, let me know down below, what do you guys think is going to happen for Mortal Kombat 2? We don't have an official name yet. Obviously, the movie just came out like a week ago. But there's already a lot of assumptions, predictions, and rumors about this movie. But guys, let me know again down below, what do you guys think is going to happen in the next movie? Did I miss anything? I'm sure I did. There's a lot to cover. And I don't want to take up a half hour or an hour of your guys' time. I want to make it quick, simple, and easy for you. Those are all the predictions and rumors that I've seen kind of be spreading. But again, guys, I want to hear from you. And also, guys, if you enjoyed and you want to stick around for more fun gaming content, of course, do subscribe. We do new videos every single Monday and Friday. We stream twice a week. I will see you guys in the next video and or stream. And until then, my dudes, as always, just take it one step at a time. Thanks again.